lined up, microphones on, cameras on importantly. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Chief Fire Officer Simon Tuhill.
Tell me when I'm... Is this about right?
Come forward, sir.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, happy? Everyone happy? Okay. Good afternoon. I'm Simon Tuhill. Officer for West Midlands Fire Service. At around about 1:30 yesterday, West Midlands Fire Service was alerted to a significant grass fire at Stourbridge Golf Course. At the height of this multi-agency response, more than 100 firefighters, 30 fire appliances and 11 specialist teams were in attendance, supported by our neighbouring fire and rescue services and national resources. The fire spread rapidly and has affected 38 domestic properties. Of these, sadly, 19 have been fully destroyed and a further 18 have sustained damage. The incident covered an area of approximately 500 acres. Cordons and road closures will remain in place around the affected area. There has also been disruption to the rail services between Kidderminster and Stourbridge. West Midlands Fire Service is supporting Network Rail to access the line and begin repairs. 6 casualties were reported on scene, including 3 firefighters. One of the firefighters attended hospital and has since been discharged, and I'm delighted to say I spoke to her this morning and she is fine and well. All of the other recorded injuries were minor in nature and included smoke inhalation. A significant number of residents have been displaced and are being supported by local authorities at rest centres in the local area. The cause of the fire is not yet known. Specialist fire investigators are working hard to establish the circumstances of the incident. While progress has been made here today, demand remains exceptionally high across West Midlands Fire Service due to resourcing this incident and several others. Please help us to prevent more fires today, and particularly as temperatures may climb again throughout the day today. Do nothing that can start an outdoor fire. That means no deliberate fires, no fireworks, no disposable barbecues, and if you are a smoker, dispose of cigarette ends and other smoking materials carefully and responsibly, and do not burn any waste at home or outside. We acknowledge it's heartbreaking to watch the homes here have been damaged and in some instances destroyed, and the thoughts of everyone with West Midlands Fire Service are with the homeowners. However, please stay away from our incident ground. No one should be inside the risk area under any circumstances. Please follow police advice and acknowledge their cordons. Staying away will help us as we continue to work hard at the scene. I'd like to acknowledge the support we've had from both neighbouring fire and rescue services, Hereford and Worcester, and Staffordshire overnight, and fellow Blue Light partners, West Midlands Ambulance Service and West Midlands Police. This was a true multi-agency response, and I am deeply grateful to them, as well as other agencies, Network Rail, Cadent, electricity colleagues, and partners from the local authority. I'd like to thank all of them for their hard work. And then finally from me, a huge thank you to all of the fire crews that have worked so hard yesterday, over the night and today. Grass fires and wildfires of this nature are exceptionally difficult. The working terrain is uneven, the heat is extreme, access is difficult, and the fire moves really quickly. And we also have the challenge of getting the right amount of water to the incident. I am so proud of every one of the firefighters from West Midlands Fire Service and our neighbouring services who have worked so hard here over the last 24 hours. I'm deeply grateful to all of them. Thank you very much. I'm happy to take some questions.
George from LBC. I can just ask, we know there were a number of hot spots as this broke into smaller fires yesterday. What is the stage with that now? Are they still being dampened down? And what is the risk of those reigniting in the days that come?
Yes, it is true. So while I am reporting that the fire is under control, you are right, there are a number of hotspots throughout the scene. That's why we've still got a large volume of crew here. I think currently we have 14 fire engines here, and we will be maintaining a presence here over the coming days, making sure we dampen down those hotspots.
We spoke to one resident who said that he seemed to him that there was an issue with supply of water. You touched on it there as well. What is the case? When you came here yesterday, did you get to the point where you needed more water?
Any fire the size of this, logistically getting the water out of the hydrants and into the fire can be exceptionally challenging because of the size and the distance away from the hydrants. So the crews worked really hard yesterday. They plugged into hydrants. We used specialist assets, a high volume pump to transport water from a further distance away, which enabled us to get the right amount of water to the incident as quickly as we possibly could.
Chief Fire Officer, Sky News, you've given us the figures for 38 domestic properties affected in Stourbridge. Obviously there's a number of fires across the West Midlands. Can you give a bit of an overview in terms of the whole of the West Midlands and how many domestic properties have been affected across the West Midlands?
So at its height yesterday, alongside this incident here, we were attending 10 other significant fires in the West Midlands, some of which spread to domestic properties. I don't have the exact numbers, but yesterday was an unprecedented day for West Midlands Fire Service. My colleagues in the Fire Control 999 Centre took over 1,100 calls yesterday, and we mobilised to hundreds and hundreds of incidents. This is completely unprecedented, which is why I'm asking for the public's cooperation in terms of being really, really careful when they're out and about and outside, particularly in grass areas, so that we can prevent this type of fire as best we possibly can.
Black Country Radio, we've seen reports locally that the police are treating this as like a crime scene. Can you clarify that?
So because the cause is unknown, we will be working really closely with police colleagues. I have our specialist fire investigation team here now investigating the cause of origin. Much more than that I don't know, but we will investigate and try and understand exactly what happens, and we will always, as a matter of course, work really closely with police colleagues.
What's the time period you're giving to residents before they can return to their homes?
So we're still trying to understand how we will start to return residents. We're working really closely with Dudley Council as the local authority. We'll start to engage with people as best we can. There are some areas where, as I've mentioned, colleagues are still working to damp down hotspots. So there will probably be a phased return to people to different parts of the incident as we move through the next few days.
Just a quick question. Can you tell us anything about the intervention of fires?
Yes, I can. A few farmers from the area were absolutely fantastic in helping us. In fact, I've just been out on the incident ground speaking to one of my colleagues before I came to this briefing. And some of my colleagues who were here yesterday used the farmers to plough the field at the interface between the field and the homes, which then prevented the fire spreading across into homes. So I'm really grateful to them for their help yesterday when we were in really challenging conditions.
If I can just ask, in future fires like this, I know you said last night this was one of the worst you'd seen in your career. We know now there are going to be some aerial firefighting deployments. Is that something that you think would have made a substantial difference much faster last night, and would that have stopped some of the devastation we've seen?
I think a view around aerial capacity and assets and use in the fire service is a discussion that I would welcome, both with Midlands Fire Service but also nationally through the National Fire Chiefs Council, to see whether that's an asset that would help us in these conditions. We know now that we are experiencing dry conditions like this more frequently, so it's a discussion I'd really welcome.
Interesting start. What do you think of the community response to what's going on? Because obviously you've had lots of donations from the community of food and water and help along the way.
Thanks for the question. The community here have been absolutely fantastic. I was here yesterday really early on. We've had donations of food, we've had water, we've had snacks. The community spirit has been amazing. The support the community showed the firefighters and every first responder that was here has been exceptional, and it has felt like a single response, and I'm deeply grateful to everyone. Good. Thank you very much, colleagues. If you want any follow-up questions, speak to my colleague Ferg, and he'll be able to facilitate that. Thank you.
West Midlands Fire Service Chief Fire Officer Simon Tuhill there giving us an overview of the situation in Stourbridge. So bad that the Prime Minister Andy Burnham felt compelled to visit there today. He told us that 500 acres are covered, 38 houses affected, 19 of them completely destroyed, and that they are, the fire service, dealing with at least 10 other significant fires across the West Midlands, with more than 1,100 calls made just yesterday alone to the fire service. Well, our Midlands correspondent, Siobhan Freeman-Powell, is there. She's been reporting on this fire for us. Siobhan, just a few of the points that I've just reiterated that we heard there from the Chief Fire Officer there, Simon Tuhill, really giving us a sense of the scale of this wildfire that we're not really used to in the UK, but it's these extraordinary conditions that have come together to impact everyone. And of course, people have had to flee their homes too, Siobhan.
Yeah, that's right. He described it there, didn't he, as an unprecedented day for the fire service, responding to the fact that they've had to respond to more than 1,000 calls yesterday, and also responding to 10 separate incidents, many of those also involving residential properties. Now, yesterday, the priority was putting out that fire, especially the one in Stourbridge, which ripped through hundreds of acres, we've now learned, and then impacted people's properties, forcing hundreds of people to flee. We heard from a representative of the council who confirmed that at least 250 to 300 people had to evacuate their homes, many of whom only left with the clothes that they were wearing, having no idea when or whether they will be able to return to their homes. I've spoken to some of them throughout the course of today. They've spoken about the speed that the fire was able to spread. There was one woman I spoke to, Jane, who is a 69-year-old grandmother. She said that she had actually called the emergency services around lunchtime, just before 1:30, and just over an hour later she was having to collect the most important belongings, including her cat and her medication, so that she could flee her home. She believes that her property will be okay, but today we are learning that many others may not face the same fate. 38 domestic properties, we've learned, have been affected. 19 of those have been fully destroyed and 18 others have been significantly damaged. As I say, the area that fire managed to cover around 500 acres of land, and it's also caused disruption to rail services, especially between Kidderminster and Stourbridge, and we're also hearing about some disruption to water services too. That's also been a concern. So we had that update from the Chief Fire Officer confirming not only how many properties have been impacted, but how many people have also been taken to hospital. We know that 6 of the casualties that had been reported, 3 of them were firefighters. He confirmed in that press conference that one of the firefighters that were taken to hospital has since been discharged and is doing well. But many of those firefighters that were taken to hospital or treated were treated for smoke inhalation. Now, the main message here is that it will take time for residents who have properties to return to be able to go back. Some of the people I spoke to at respite centres, their priority is making sure that their neighbours are okay. There really is a community spirit here. There are lots of people that have been turning up at respite centres with food and with water and with moral support, because this is something that is extraordinary and, as the Chief Fire Officer said, unprecedented in this area.
And Siobhan, you mentioned there the people and how they've rushed out of the area, and are they concerned about enough being done to protect their homes or to support them? Because I was speaking earlier to an expert looking at wildfires, and we were discussing the fact that there's a lot of reaction to this, and it's been phenomenal. Of course, the fire service has done a phenomenal job with these fires. But what about taking care of their homes and preventing the fire from spreading elsewhere, maybe even as these heat wave continues?
To be honest with you, most of the people that I've spoken to are, frankly, feeling very lucky to be alive, especially when they've witnessed some of the images that we've been able to share, some of those aerial images which really does show you just how much devastation has been caused by these fires. I think a lot of the residents that I've spoken to that were evacuated were very thankful and have spoken about how the fire service responded as quickly as possible. I was at a boarding school earlier that was housing some of those that have been evacuated, and the leader of the council there confirmed to me that 3 separate care homes also had to be evacuated. That was the priority. It was getting the most vulnerable and elderly patients, especially in those care homes, into these respite centres. So I think that, for many people, has been the priority, is remaining safe. I think those questions will follow in coming days, but there does seem to be a sense that there was a plan in place, that all the emergency services followed those plans, and even though all of the residents that have been impacted are of course going to be worried about next steps and whether or not their properties will be safe in future if we continue to have these hot weather conditions that we've experienced this year. But as I say, I think the priority for most of the people that I've spoken to today has been the fact that they are safe and sound, and I think we'll think about the future of their properties at a later date once they've been able to return.
Yeah, absolutely, and totally understandable. Shaman Freeman-Powell, thanks very much indeed for that. Thank you. Well, some breaking news from British Transport Police. An update on that breaking news we brought you at the top of the hour. They've issued a statement now following reports of another train derailment in Essex. It says officers are currently on scene at Wickford railway station following reports that the rear carriages of a train have derailed in an upright position at 12 minutes past 2 today. We are responding alongside paramedics and the fire service. There are currently no reported injuries. So British Transport Police there appearing to confirm that they are on the scene at a potential train derailment at Wickford railway station in Essex.